Welcome to 410s.
A year ago, I saw the 410 as a silly curiosity, but then I got bitten by the bug and eventually purchased a little AYA, falling even further down the rabbit hole.
I really wanted to come out and see what a 410 was all about, so I brought a Silver Pigeon borrowed from a friend of mine, chucked it to a spacer in the back, a ShotKam on the front, and I'm here to shoot a bit of skeet and a bit of sporting to see what these guns are capable of. So 410 skeet, a handicap skeet, is massively popular in America. It really isn't over here. In fact, the 410 is a very niche thing here. The following is minimal, but the cartridge selection is still pretty good. I'm going to go straight in with the ones I found to be best last time. That is 18 grams. I could only get them in a 6. Well, I only had them in a 6. You can get 7s, which will probably be more appropriate for skeet. You think skeet's not very far away, a 410 should be totally good enough, but it's amazing how different the sight pictures are when you don't have the barrel momentum. I was just shooting station 3 and it looked like I had to give that target in my head. Again, probably 1.5 to 2 times the amount of lead I'd see with a 12 bore. Just driving through it, it felt like I was giving it monsters. I missed and missed and missed and missed and missed, as is evident. And then I just kept pushing through to what was a huge gap. And it's amazing perceived lead versus real lead and how they are different from gun to gun. I want to shut up and shoot a pair. It's too cold for skeet today. It's -2 centigrade and just doing this standing and walking around is suboptimal. I'm also not really a skeet shooter, so I suggest we go and shoot some sporting. Let's go find some decent targets. For those of you wondering what this is on the end of my gun, it is a ShotKam. It's a gun barrel camera that records videos of what you shoot. It's really handy as a training tool because you can see whether you miss behind, in front, or whether you just use the wrong technique entirely. And from a hunting perspective, it's always really nice to go back and look at some of those birds that you've no idea how you hit, but you did. They currently have a sale on of £150 off until the 14th of February. That is on the Gen 3 and Gen 4 ShotKams. The Gen 3 will be £329, which is an absolute bargain. It has 5 hours battery life, it has a fixed zoom, it's a great unit for those who are going to be using it a little bit more casually. And the Gen 4, which is a huge upgrade and is now the only one I use, has variable zoom, variable frame rates, huge data storage, much better clarity, and is all round a better unit with 15 hours of battery life, meaning you can use it pretty much all damn day. Which means you can use a Gen 4 all day without having to stop and recharge it, which is obviously pretty handy for those of us who aren't that organised. What's also really good, you get free shipping, a 2-year full coverage warranty, and 30-day trial period. What's not to love? When you buy one, they come with a 12 gauge mount. However, sub gauge mounts like this one are available, as well as side-by-side mounts, rail mounts, moderator mounts, pretty much everything you could ever want. Back to shooting. So I've had a lot of people say to me, why don't you get tubes or a different barrel set that weighs the same as a 12? And I can see massive practical benefits to that. You're shooting a gun that's exactly the same as a 12 bore with small cartridges, which certainly when you're reloading is cheap and when you're shooting handicap is necessary. But it negates the most important part of a 410 for me, and that is the weight. Carrying this round is like carrying nothing. It's kind of nice, it's fun, it's a small toy. And I still think that's like part of the appeal of 410 to me, is that it's just like a pop gun. What have we got here? A left to right crosser and a left to right crosser standard on report. I think this needs to go. I'm shooting over the top of everything, clearly. And on the skeet it's hard to tell because of the lines and stuff, but on a sporting it's very easy to tell when you're offline with a big facey target like that B-bird, because when you shoot straight over the top of it and you take the top edge off. Let's see if this is any better. A beadless Silver Pigeon. Now we're cooking on gas. Have not missed since we got rid of that horrible red bead. It's amazing how the sight picture and the lead picture's probably to do with that red bead, which I didn't think would affect me that badly, but it clearly did. So far, I hate to say it, is worlds easier to shoot than the side-by-side. I mean, the raised rib, the sight pictures, everything, the pistol grip obviously lend itself to a easier aiming system, if you like. You know when you're on it, you know when you're not, you know what lead looks like, you know what to do with these things. It's just after that about moving the gun correctly and remembering. And essentially, as Adam said when we were in the Dominican Republic, it's about just telling yourself this is a 12 bore. It needs to be shot almost exactly the same. However, a lot of the time, because it's not a 12 bore, the rib's different, the bead's different, the stock's different, there are things that don't allow you to fall in at ease with that. I've shot a fair number of these. This is a very normal gun to me. It's as normal as a gun can be in terms of shootability. It's just a lot lighter, certainly out front. All in all, however, the sight picture is more familiar, and that allows me, now I've got rid of the bloody horrible orange bead, horrible. It's amazing how we're all different. I know people who love those, how easy it is just to get in and break those targets. Let's find something a bit more spicy and see what these 18 grammers can do. One of the other reasons for me being here is that there is a 410 championship in Britain, and I'd quite like to shoot it. I don't think the AOA is the perfect gun to shoot it with, not that I want to be competitive, but I'd like to put in a respectable score. I think in the true spirit of sporting training, let's have 3 pairs in each and see how consistent I can get with the little pigeon. 5 out of 6 for the first time, happy with that. The rabbit was a stupid miss. I was just enjoying watching it bounce. She just got out and killed it like I normally would. But I guess there's still a little barrier in my brain to 410. Since buying that 410, I've shot it half a dozen times. I've enjoyed shooting it. I've shot a few more 410s, and I have fallen in love with 410s and 28s. It's just, they're such joy. But it's about regulating the joy and increasing the seriousness. Stand for low crow, on report left right crosser. That was a less than ideal scoring, but we'll take it, it's not the end of the world. I'm out of 3-inch ammo, and all I've got left is little 11 gram cartridges, and in the process of just removing the 410 bogeys from my head, there's a huge stand over there I'd like to go and shoot that, you know, a 12 bore was, in my head, needed. Part of this 410 journey for me, I think I need to go and break that 60-yard looper with 11 grams. Let's go. Since entering into the world of 28s and 410s last year, you know, more so than I ever have done, I've obviously always shot them, I've noticed that the 410 and 28 brigade are perhaps the most law-ridden shotgun shooters out there. And by that, I mean there's an awful lot of stuff that is said in the 410 and 28 gauge world that isn't backed up by much fact or science, as much as there is a little bit. I haven't found much evidence to back it up. You know, there's all sorts of silly things spoken about. Oh, you can't shoot more than an 11.5 grams in a 410, and if you're shooting 23 grams or more in a 28 gauge, you're not a real 28 gauge shooter, and they don't pattern well because of the column length. And I found most of that to be patently untrue, because, oh, you can't shoot a 410 on a Wednesday if it's an over and under. It's the sort of thing they say. I find it a bit crazy. I think perhaps where it's a bit of a niche thing and the major cartridge manufacturers haven't pulled in all of the investment they have in other areas, perhaps there isn't like the quiet acceptance of what is right and what is not out there. Look, I'm not really here to say anything other than a lot of people get put off by cliquiness, and if you want more people to shoot 410s and 28s, the cliquiness needs to stop. Because I've had cliquiness thrown at me about some of the things I've said or done, or even haven't said or done, which is insane. Stand 8. A bird going up and away, B bird left to right crosser. Let's rock and roll. That B bird is 65 yards off the barrel. I have a 1/4 cylinder. I know that choke doesn't make quite so much difference in a 410. Or so the chokey 410 law says. Let's shoot. Hey! Front edged it. The sight picture on this gun is a little different, certainly to what I was expecting. I'm seeing quite a lot of rib, and I can't get my head down on the stock because of the stock shape. For me, I'm having to aim a little further underneath than I would have expected for a gun of the sight picture that I'm seeing. That's more like it. The breaks aren't that satisfying, but they do happen. That's a big target by anybody's standards. Ah, you see that? I heard it hit. I even saw the clay tilt in the air. I think one piece of 7-shot at 65 yards may not be enough to break it. And I think at 65 yards with this, maybe that's as much as I can get on it. I've got 2 more shells I'm going to throw at this, and then I think we're going to go hit the pattern plate before going back to the studio and actually having a proper look at what I've been shooting. Well, I broke it 3 times out of 20, one of which was over the top of my head. I hit it another 3 times that I heard with pellets hitting the target, which is why it's important, certainly when you come to competitions. You're probably not going to see that at a 410 championship. But when I do come to competitions, I always come packing big shells, because I shot this with 6.5 sovereigns earlier and I was turning it inside out with a 3/8 choke. Maybe 11 grams going a few hundred feet per second slower through a skeet choke isn't the one. Because I felt like I was on it a few more times. I knew when I wasn't, you could see the gun waving around in my head. Let's pattern it before we go and have a look at it, shall we? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. I mean, this looks about right to me. 1 shot, pattern plate, and I hope that I don't end up with egg on my face when it all goes in the center of that target. The center of those whole pattern plates is about the same size as a clay target, and honestly it may have been more like 65, but we're gonna shoot it at 60 because let's be optimistic. The sun has gone in and it's dropped back into the -degrees. Let's go. I mean, there's not one single piece of shot in the center there. In fact, on the board we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pellets in what's that, a 30-inch circle. I feel a film on 410 choking is very likely going to come to TGS soon. So I can do a bit of pattern testing and cartridge testing to find out what the optimum load is for one of these for clay sports and hunting. Looking back at that pattern, it did suck. And I don't use that word lightly, it was terrible. But it's a cylinder choke at 60 yards, which is, as we've discussed when we film with Ed, even in a 12-bore, suboptimal. This is a 410, you've got 11 grams of pellets of 6-shot. If there's 270 balls per ounce in 6-shot and there was 11 grams, that is 104 balls. 104 pellets through a very big spread. I mean, you're pissing in the wind, I guess is the reality there. You just can't fight it. What's interesting is there's a lot of speak out there on the internet and in books of old saying that 410s cannot throw good patterns. And I don't believe that to be true, but what I do think is because of the lack of shot and you know, the high pressures, the long shot column, you just actually need to be way more careful about actually patterning your gun, putting it with an appropriate choke, choosing an appropriate cartridge. Whereas with a 12-bore, you can recklessly go out and buy most cartridges, throw them in with most chokes and go and kill most things. In a much larger bracket. With a 410, you don't have the luxury of that. And so perhaps we'll do a little bit of further pattern testing with some internals, externals, aftermarket chokes, different cartridges, and see what this gun is actually capable of. Should you start with a 410? I mean, we could debate that for ages. As soon as one is old enough physically to hold it and mature enough mentally to understand the consequences of doing something stupid. And that's kind of the metric. I see for most people that lies about the 7.5, 8-year-old bracket, and then I know people, and my friends whose kids, they're turning 11 and they're only just starting to show an interest, they're only just physically, mentally capable and keen to do it. You're not really looking to force a child to do it because this is a heavy thing for somebody who is this tall. On a more mental note, you want it to be a pleasant experience. Some kids will be totally keen regardless of how unpleasant it is, and I've got a friend whose kid's there with this huge gun, he doesn't care, he's just happy to do it, and you have some who can easily be put off, but every child is different, every human is different, right? So I should also mention further to before that 410 is a great gun to start with because of the lack of recoil. But I guess the 410 versus 28 gauge argument will continue forever. Maybe we should make a versus film. Tell me if you'd like that and we will enact that. The reality is there's a huge amount of crossover between every caliber that is next to each other in line. The 410 is beautiful by proxy of its absolute miniature size, and there's something just endearing about every 410 I've ever picked up. And generally, the finer you go, the sleeker they are. It really is a place to show off the gunmaker's art. There's something so tactile about this little thing. I can't help but just like it. Plus, there's extra kudos for shooting a 410, right? Like, it's even more of like a, hey, mustachio, look at me, I'm whatever they're called. I'm a connoisseur. And not that that's what we're all looking for, but, you know, I know a lot of people shoot sub gauges because, you know, it helps their moustache growth. It may not be the smallest, but I also like the fact that it's a full-size grip. I like that the forend is sleek, but it's still the same width. I like that this is usable in its size and not super petite. I think I'm done with the 28 gauge for a little bit, and I think it's time to spend a bit of time exploring the 410 this year. Last year was the year of the 28. I ended the year without buying one. I ended up bought 410 instead, so maybe this year is the year of the 410 exploration.
Thank you for watching, guys. This channel is made possible by our amazing sponsors. You can find out more about them in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can join as a member. You get loads of extra content, well, some extra content, and occasionally we hook up and go clay shooting together as a membership group. If you don't feel like joining today, we really appreciate you watching and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.
Guys, let me know in the comments, do you want to see us do... Guys, let me know in the comments, what do you want to see? 410 pattern testing, 410 versus 28 gauge, or shall we just go and shoot the 410 English British Open with zero forethought? Sorry. Guys, let me know in the comments what you want to see first. Guys, let me know in the comments in which order. Guys, let me know in the... Sorry. Guys, in which order would you like to see the next? Guys, in which order should we explore the 410? 410 versus 28, 410 competition shooting, or 410 pattern testing? Let me know in the comments which order you'd like to see them.